Today we are going to read a play, Liza and the Lost Letter, and this play is about how greed can cause trouble. The characters of the play are narrator, Princess Margaret, guard, Liza Higgins, gatekeeper, appointment secretary. So let's start. Every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, the royal family rides past Liza Higgins' house, and Liza is always waiting on the sidewalk in front of her house, waving a little flag, a one-girl welcoming committee. One Sunday morning in June, as the royal carriage rolled towards her, Liza noticed that Princess Margaret was reading a letter. Suddenly, the letter flew out of the princess's hand into the air. The carriage jerked to a stop. The guards dismounted and began searching the street. She noticed how anxious the princess looked, but the queen seemed impatient. She spoke to the driver, and just as suddenly as the procession had stopped, the carriage resumed moving down the street. Liza waited until the carriage and guards were out of sight. She walked up the alley where she had seen the letter blow. There, behind a trash barrel, was a handwritten letter on fine stationery imprinted with the seal of the King of France. Liza folded the letter carefully and put it in her pocket. Liza did not tell a soul about what she had found and decided to walk briskly towards the palace. The gate to the palace was guarded by a gatekeeper who was wearing a tall, bushy black hat and standing still as a statue. "Excuse me, I must see Princess Margaret." "May I see your pass?" "I don't have a pass." "I'm sorry, no one can get through the gate without a pass." "But you don't understand. I have found something that belongs to the princess. I'm sure she will want it back." "And no doubt you will want a reward for your service." "No, I just want to return to the princess what is hers." "In that case, you will have to have a pass." "But how will I ever get a pass?" "I will be happy to arrange it for just half of the reward." "Are you serious?" Without even looking at Liza, the gatekeeper simply said, "Good day." Liza didn't move. She was angered by the gatekeeper's greed, but the thought of a reward hadn't even occurred to her. So she reconsidered and said, "Perhaps I will give you half of the reward." For the first time, the gatekeeper smiled. He took a piece of paper out of his pocket and signed it. "Here." Saying that, he opened the gate for Liza and let her in. Another guard escorted Liza to the foyer where the appointment secretary, who was seated at an ornate wooden desk, was idly turning the pages of a huge appointment book. "Who is this urchin?" "Just another beggar looking for the royal reward. She claims she is returning something to the princess." "I'm sorry, but Her Majesty's calendar is completely full for weeks, but if you will give whatever it is to me, I will see that it is returned to the princess." Liza shook her head. "You don't understand. This is a personal matter. I must return it to the princess myself." "In that case, come back in September. I will see what I can do. Good day." Liza did not move. She stared into the eyes of the appointment secretary so he would know she was serious. "Why don't you ask Princess Margaret if she has lost something? I think you will find that she will want to see me immediately." "I will see if it is that important, then perhaps I can accommodate you. But you will have to compensate me for my efforts on your behalf. It will cost you half of your reward." "Agreed." "The princess will see you. Remember, I get half of the reward." "I have an excellent memory." The secretary ushered Liza into Princess Margaret's chamber. As they entered, the princess was pacing the floor. On her face was the same worried expression. He left, closing the polished mahogany door behind him. "And who might you be?" "Liza Higgins, Your Majesty." "I'm curious to know, what have you found?" "A letter, Your Majesty. I believe you lost it on the way to church this morning." Liza retrieved the letter from her jacket pocket as the princess approached her. "Thank God! Have you read it?" "No." The princess peered into Liza's eyes to see if she was telling the truth. "I can't understand a word of French." The princess smiled. "Have you shown anyone?" "Not a soul, Your Majesty." The princess breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Liza. This letter means a great deal to me. Is there anything I can do for you? Name your reward." "I did not return your letter for a reward. I was just doing what I would have liked someone to do for me. But since you are so kind to offer a reward, I cannot refuse. However, I wonder if you would summon the palace gatekeeper and your appointment secretary. They both help me to gain an audience with you. I think they will be happy to know that you have granted me a reward." "Certainly," calling out, "Guard!" Instantly the door opened and a guard appeared. "Liza, you have done a great service to me by returning a prized possession. How can I reward you? Your wish is my command." The gatekeeper and the secretary smiled with anticipation. "Thank you for your generosity, Your Majesty. If you will grant my wish, I humbly request a sentence of 2 weeks in jail." The faces of the gatekeeper and the secretary turned white. Their jaws dropped open. The princess frowned. "I don't understand." "You see, although I did not seek a reward, the royal gatekeeper as well as your appointment secretary made me a promise to give him half of my reward in return for letting me in through the palace gate, even though I told them both I was here to return something you had lost. I hope that you will grant my request." "I cannot refuse your request. Guards, take the prisoners away. Young lady, you have done 2 great services, one to me personally and one to the royal family. I would like to give you another reward." As the princess took a close look at Liza, she said, "You look vaguely familiar. Are you the girl who waves to me every Sunday morning as we drive to the church?" "Yes, Your Majesty. I wait for you every Sunday. Once you even wave to me." "Well, next Sunday, instead of watching me drive by, how would you like to join me for a ride in the royal carriage dressed in a brand new gown?" "I would love to."